Anything at training that will affect what you do at selection today?
No, we got through training all right. Yeah, training was good.
Can you give us a bit of an insight? Obviously, it's not going to be released a little bit later in the day, but a bit of an insight of what may happen selection-wise?
It's a tough one. We've got obviously Vince and Douglas who are back from injury. McKernan's back from suspension. Shaw played his game in the SANFL last week. So there's going to be some options for us this week at selection. We'll be going up after this presser, and we'll probably be out there for a few hours, I'm guessing.
But a good problem to have, I would think, Sando, for you.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, we've got great depth at the moment, and we've got the 22 who are playing are in really good form, which makes it hard to make too many changes. You don't like to tinker too much with a winning formula, but at the same time, yeah, we've got some good players coming back, and yeah, an interesting match committee today.
Just looking at
Carlton, what does the venue and the opponent do for when you have match committee? Is that going to be major influence one above the other, or are you convinced that what you've got doesn't matter?
Yeah, I mean, most of the focus is typically on us and what we can do well. We spend probably, I think the breakdown would be about 75-25, where we focus on what we do well and about 25% on what the opposition and how they can hurt us. So the opposition certainly come into it. The venue, it's hard to say because we don't play too many games at Etihad, but you'd think it would suit our game style, the way that we're playing at the moment. You'd think that that shouldn't hold any fears for us.
You scouted Carlton on Monday, so what did that tell you about what you should do this week?
Yeah, I mean, I've also seen them play very well. I went to the Collingwood game and saw that one live at the MCG, and they were exceptional. So their best is almost unbeatable. You know, the Carlton side, when they're up and about, their ability to win inside ball and get you on the outside with speed. That's the main area that we're looking to focus on. But having said that, sides have played really well when they've pressured the kicker and restricted their marking game. So yeah, we'll be doing our very best to restrict that.
Is there a good time, bad time issue with them? Is it a good time because they're losing, or is that a bad time because you expect a reaction from it?
Carlton are hard to beat no matter what time of the season, and they've just got so much talent in their team. But having said that, I think we've seen the last few weeks just the evenness of the competition as well. So it doesn't really matter who plays who. You're in for a really difficult game, and some sides you match up really well against, others you have more difficulty with. But yeah, we'll go into the Carlton game with a fair bit of form behind us and looking to get away again and have a good win on the road.
How significant is the 2 extra days rest?
Oh, it is, yeah. I mean, 8 days for us, 6 days for them. Once they bounce the ball, doesn't mean much, but what we have been doing is running games out really well. We've been scoring heavily in the back half of quarters. So you think if we just keep putting speed on the game, that's been suiting us, and hopefully we can exploit that again on the weekend.
I think the Saints watched Murphy and Simpson pretty closely. And you guys obviously knew about Geelong with Mackie and that sort of thing. What do you do this week? Can you give us a bit of an insight without giving away too much?
Yeah, I mean, their side's full of talent, and there's doesn't matter, across every line they seem to have a real match winner. Their forward line's got the speed, with Eddie Betts and Gartlett and Waite. Midfield's obviously packed with talent with Murphy and Judd and Simpson and Scotland, and obviously Gibbs when he plays down back with Yarran if he comes back into the side. So they have got some super talent in that side, but we can't follow them all. We have to also play to our strengths and just ensure that we play that we want to play.
Brendan, one of the common themes I think from St Kilda and Essendon, the 2 games Carlton lost this year, was they almost seemed to rough them up before the bounce and during the game. A lot of physical pressure. Is that something you've kept an eye on and that you guys will look to do this week?
It is, but we do that every game. I think our ability to put pressure on the opposition should be a bit of a trademark for us anyway. I think we've been a lot harder in the contest the last 3 or 4 weeks in particular, and you can't waver with that. You can't be even 2 or 3% off of that. So it doesn't matter who you play, whether it's Carlton this week or Collingwood the week after. You've just got to ensure that you just put pressure on the opposition at every chance you get, and that's a bit of a norm now through the whole competition for us.
The club looking at playing the Wood West Torrens blokes this weekend up against an under 18 side.
Yep.
What's better? Is it better to play against kids or a simulated run out the back here?
Yeah, we'll discuss that a little bit later at match committee. Obviously, we've got a few guys who sort of fit in that boat with Vince and Knights and Luke Thompson. Yeah, you're right. Whether they be a travelling emergency, whether they play in the under 18 game, or whether they play in the lowest ranked reserves SANFL side. So there's a few options we've got, or you can simulate a match for them, which we've done with Ben Rutten through the NAB Cup. So all those things we'll discuss at match committee today when we finalise the 22.
Is
Brings
Bernie
up
a
the old
tricky one,
debate,
though?
doesn't it? Brings up the old debate, doesn't it? That really you should only have one option, shouldn't you? Have your own team, your own way to deal
Yeah, in the perfect world, yeah, that would be ideal for us. But unfortunately, we haven't got that at the moment. But one day we might.
Just on that though with Bernie, say he doesn't come up this week and you want to get him through a secondary comp. The week after the SANFL has the bye.
Yep.
It's a real quandary for you, isn't it? Is that one of the biggest selection issues for you, that fact that if he doesn't play this week and you want to give him some work
and same with Knights too. You know, Knights got suspended. Eagles have the bye this week, then it's the state game next weekend, so potentially could miss 3 games in a row. But we have got some options with the SANFL reserves, which we can head down that path as well for these Eagles players as well. But yeah, the SANFL state match next week comes at a bad time as well.
Did Josh Jenkins do enough to earn a second go?
Yeah, I thought he was terrific. Yeah, whether he's done enough, we'll have to wait and see. But it's a good option for us with McKernan back. We've got options. Keeps guys on their toes. But yeah, Jenkins I thought did some really quality things in the game, and just looks like we've got a player in the making there. He's going to be something special for us down the track.
Does St success with their smalls on Monday count against Josh, perhaps?
Not necessarily. I mean, with Walker out, you know, you don't want to take too many tools out of your side, but it's funny because you can sometimes overreact to what happened in the previous week. You can't just say, oh, because St Kilda's smalls kick goals, then we'll load up with a small forward line. We'll pick a side that we play best. Having said that before, though, we do have to look at the opposition in ways that we can exploit them, but they're a quality side. They're not going to roll over on Sunday for us, so we'll have to be at our best to beat them.
But given the strength of Adelaide's small forwards, it's something, you know, they're capable of kicking a lot of goals against.
Yeah, they are. We've got some small forwards in form. You know, Shrenko and Wright, Callanan, John Cock there last week was fantastic. So we can throw some different looks at Carlton with our forward setup. So yeah, it'd be something that we'll definitely consider is going small at times.
But what do you make of the Melbourne line of not winning these for the last 2 years, 3 years?
Not winning in Melbourne?
Yeah.
It's a tricky one for me because I've obviously just come into the job and we've had good wins on the road already. You know, we've beaten Sydney away, we beat Gold Coast in round 1, so it doesn't matter which border you cross, it's still an away game, and you know, we like to think we go well when we're on the road. So I think the Melbourne hoodoo, I won't be talking about it with the players. It's just a great opportunity to play well against Carlton at Etihad. So it's sort of new to me, if that makes sense. Like, it's not something that I'm losing any sleep over.
And Brenton, sorry, I was just going to ask about Taylor Walker and what your message has been to him.
Yeah, with Taylor, we obviously we don't want to change the way that he plays because that's what's helped him get in great form, is his ability to chase and tackle and put pressure on the opposition. Sometimes you can be a little bit overzealous with once you grab someone in a tackle, his ability to hold them and not drive them into the ground. So it was a tricky one for us because 2 or 3 years ago we would have said great tackle, but now it's unfortunately it's a report and it's a suspension. So players have to change their technique slightly now.
Does it surprise you though? I mean, 2 matches for as you say, a couple of years ago would have been acceptable.
The AFL have been pretty clear that they have to be really wary of players you know, hitting their head. So we've been aware of that. We've seen the DVD. We've had the umpires here. So it's just really hard. Spur of the moment. You've laid a good tackle, and in talking in old terms, you want to finish the tackle off. But unfortunately, you can't finish the tackle like you used to. So that's something that we've got to keep working on with the players. And we did train that skill today.
Did you feel there was consistency this week on that, or do you think there's been a bit of doubt now created by all the 3 that were put up on the weekend? There seems to have been different views on.
Yeah, I think there's still an element of greyness that we're trying to eliminate, and I think the AFL are really working hard to do that, but just every case is unique, so we can't use a precedence too often because it just seems that every time one comes up, there's a slightly different slant on it. So I know there's the new concussion rule as well, which comes into play, but I think the players know now that their head is just, it's important that you don't have any contact with the opposition's head.
And then we spoke in Melbourne radio about going to the umpires this week. Last week you sat here and told us about the Kurt Tibbett scenario, and a few days later he gets 5 free kicks, equal to what he cumulatively got in 6 rounds. Is that coincidence or well-spoken words?
Good coaching. No, listen, we share emails back and forth every week, the umpires and Adelaide, and I'm sure it happens at every other club as well. The AFL umpires are great in sending through I guess, a little collage of ones that they missed and ones that they paid just for clarification for us. So there's a really healthy communication channel open at the moment. The one I spoke about after the game, with the sliding one, I understand what they're trying to achieve. There was an instance on the weekend where a Crows player and a Cats player slid into each other. So when they both slide into each other, I just want to find out who gets the free, or is it play on, or do you report both players? I think it's pretty clear when one slides into another, but when both slide, that's the clarification that we'll probably seek this week, because it's still very fresh, still very raw. I think players are going to we have to be prepared, they're still going to want to dive on the ball and normally protect themselves with their legs sliding in. So just want to find out if two slide in at the same time, who gets the free.
And have you had clarification on that?
No, we'll chase it up in the next few days, yeah.
How long does it take to coach that out of the player, that instinct?
It's hard to coach out, yeah. It's something that I think, I'm not sure of the time frame, but yeah, we've got the ability, as technology gets better and better, we can slow instances down, and it just looks really bad. Sometimes if you do frame by frame by frame, some things look horrific, whereas maybe 5-10 years ago, a lot of these things would have just been play on, or good tackle, or so sometimes, yeah, I think we have to try and coach or teach them out of it, but that's going to take time.
Brent, just on the Melbourne thing, playing over there, do you feel that you need to play well in Melbourne to get the respect of the wider football community, or that's not the case?
Not so much, no. I think we're slowly gaining the respect of the competition, and we're a very difficult side to play against. Going to Melbourne shouldn't hold any fears for us. There's nothing really that should prevent us from playing well, whether it's at the MCG or Etihad. So that I don't think will be an issue. I'm not even going to raise it with the players.
Brenton, you had that emotional issue last week with Geelong. Neil Craig's spoken this week. I don't know if you heard what he's had to say, but he's still emotionally attached to the group and speaks very highly of it.
Yep.
What do you think he left for you?
I think you're right. It must be very difficult for a coach who puts so much time and effort into a group and then have to step away. I can certainly understand that, and I've always been a huge admirer of Craigie and the work that he did with Adelaide through that sort of 7 or 8 year period, and I think he'd be enjoying watching them play at the moment because they're playing really well and they're up and about and injury free, which I guess at times he couldn't have. But I can certainly understand that there would be that emotional connection still with the side. You can't just walk away and not watch the TV or don't have anything to do with the footy club anymore from an emotional point of view. So I can certainly understand that.
What do you leave you though?
Super fit team. These guys, like I said, they're extremely fit. They run games out. They've been really well coached. They're extremely receptive to new ideas, and we review the game every week, and then we see adjustments to that straight away. So I think he's been a really good leader of this footy club for a long time.
When you say about that injury issue, the question last year wasn't bad management of the players or just bad luck. This year, is it good luck or good management?
A bit of both, yeah. I mean, we've made some good decisions along the way with injury prevention and injury rehab, but also too, we're not going to go through the season without any injuries. We've been pretty fortunate so far, but touch wood, we continue to make good decisions, and we have a fair bit of good luck along the way.
What's been the key on that injury prevention?
What's been the key?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. I know we've got obviously Stephen Schwert and our medical team are really receptive to listening to all ideas, and I think we don't risk players perhaps as much as what other clubs do. I'm not sure, but for example, Douglas is back now after a 5-week hamstring. Maybe at another club he would have been rushed back after 3. Those little sort of decisions that we don't feel like we have to rush players.
I know you don't want to flirt with your form, but as you continue to bang wins and look more and more of a certainty to make the finals, will you be tempted, like Geelong last year, to start resting blokes given the demands of what happens for a season?
I don't think so, no. I think we have to pick our best team, week in, week out. There'll be some management issues, I think, later in the season with some players who've played a lot of footy, and when you look at their total game time for the season, you have to make smart decisions. You can't just roll players right through and ignore any sort of warning signs that come along. So fortunately we haven't had that yet, but we'll ensure that our players are fit and healthy, particularly in the second half of the year.